Hello everyone. Thank you very much for having me here today. I want you to imagine that Mr. Aan invited me here just to have a look at what you guys are doing today. But he didn't tell me that I have to make a 20-minute speech. And then a few minutes ago down at the security check, he said, the security check's going to take a while, so could you please prepare a 20-minute speech about table topics. Of course that didn't happen. Mr. An told me about the speech like 2 months ago. Yes. But just imagine that was you. This is me. Best photograph I could find. My name is Hugh Elliott. I was born in Adelaide, South Australia. I grew up in Gippsland, Victoria, which is kind of a country area like, I don't know, Majalanka or Purwakarta or something like that, yeah? And I actually started going back and forth to Indonesia when I was quite young. Because as a side note, my father was a geophysicist in Indonesia for 25 years. And due to him being here so often, I also fell in love with Indonesia, and I'm now 15 years been with Indonesia. I'm paid to speak on occasions, although I'm not a full-time paid speaker. I don't think I'd like to be. But I am paid to speak, and I was paid to speak before I started at Toastmasters. So you may ask, why? Why did you join at Toastmasters? I didn't join at Toastmasters because I was afraid of speaking. No, I actually quite enjoyed speaking. In fact, if you gave me enough time, I wouldn't stop speaking. Which some Toastmaster members are like. I don't know, Mr. An, you like that? You guys can tell me, yeah? Alright, but Toastmasters gave me the opportunity to refine my skills, to get feedback, and also the chance to share with others about speaking. You know, it's been an environment where we're focusing on communication skills and focusing on leadership and helping each other. So, let's get down to brass tacks. You're in the elevator, going down from the 11th floor. How many floors have we got here? 14, or from the 14th floor. And you've just had a meeting, maybe with an important client, maybe with the big boss. And then he's in the same elevator as you. And he turns to you and says, so what do you think? And now you've got 14 floors going down. And you didn't think he was going to ask you just by chance. You're in the same elevator. What are you going to do? Now, if you're just quiet and you ignore him, that's a bad move. If you talk nonsense, also a bad move. So what are you going to do? You can't be quiet. You can't talk nonsense. You're going to have to communicate very effectively. And you can only communicate very effectively if you either have natural talent or you've learnt the skills. Yes? Preferably both, yes? Okay, so what are we going to go over today? Different speaking situations. What different speaking situations can you get yourself into, as it were? Are they all like table topics? Put your hand up if you've seen table topics before. Table topics? Yeah, a few of you? Okay, a few of you haven't. That's okay, no problem. Table topics is kind of a process that Toastmasters use to train the impromptu speaking skills. And so are all speaking situations like table topics? The answer is no. They're not like table topics. Speaking situations can be different. Second is, why should we practice? I mean, sometimes practicing makes it worse. Sometimes practicing will make you overthink things. Yeah? It's like the student in the karate dojo. They were very good at fighting in high school. They just went wild, swinging their arms up and screaming, right? And it really worked well for them. And then suddenly the karate master teaches them, no, you have to have a posture. You have to move with the flow. And the first time he gets in a fight in high school, he tries to make his posture and move with the flow, and then it's all over because he's thinking too much, right? So sometimes when we practice, it makes it worse before it gets better. But we have to get through that stage so that we can become the dojo master. Yes? Or the communication master, as it were. Then we're going to talk about table topic techniques, yeah? Whether it can be applied everywhere or not, and how it's going to help us. So some different situations. Please put your hand up if any of these relate to you. Okay? The first one. You're asked to talk about an issue in a meeting. Has it ever happened to you?
Yes.
Okay? All right.
Yes.
So some of you never been asked to talk in a meeting. Well, you're lucky. Some of you have been avoiding the meetings. You know, the meeting comes, you're just not there. Where's he gone? You want to put forward your points or ideas. Yeah? You wanted to, contribute, so people know that you're worth worth what they're paying you. You're asked for your opinion out of the blue. So maybe like in an elevator or they're walking, just past and say, hey, what do you think? Yep, you've heard that before. And then suddenly you have to articulate what you want to say. Now, if your best mate's asking you for your opinion, you can whittle-waddle and go back and forth and it's okay. You have a laugh together. But if somebody important is asking for your opinion, you need to articulate yourself very well and very quickly. This is my favorite one. You're suddenly asked to make an unprepared formal speech. Please say a few words. You have 20 minutes. No, it's not what... No, he didn't do it to me. But it has happened to me before. I've been asked to an event. Please come to our event. Okay. We want you to speak for 30 minutes about language acquisition. Oh, really? Okay. All right. So I'm okay. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And I'll put my notes down. Now, most people, they have 3 options when they're asked this last question. What are the options? First option is to reject it. I didn't prepare anything. No. And a lot of people do that. They say, I didn't prepare anything. I'm going to make a fool of myself. And actually, if they're not a skilled speaker, this is a smart move. Because the next option is standing like this. Looking out and the silence. Is it, what's he going to say? Of course, there's a third option which I hope you'll all embrace, and that is you make a stellar speech. Yeah, you know how to articulate your speech quickly, you know how to bring your thoughts together quickly, and then that's you. Well, that's actually the wolf on Wall Street. You don't want to be that guy. He went to jail. Ingredients of a stellar speech. Basic stuff. Engage the audience. Make sure everybody's looking at you. Make sure nobody's falling asleep in the back. Begin with something stimulating. Like I began with the story about You could relate directly, right? That's to stimulate you, to engage you from the beginning. Make it relevant. It should relate to what you guys are going to face in daily life. And I hope this does, yeah? Keep a clear purpose from the start. I told you at the beginning what we're going to talk about, what we're going to cover. The old age saying, tell them what you're going to teach them, and teach them, and then tell them what you taught them. It may sound boring, but people forget. What actually are we talking about? Anybody there? Sorry? Have I lost anyone? No. Okay. Link the points together. All the points should flow and link together so people, you don't lose people. They flow together. Organize your thoughts. Keep the audience engaged throughout, and it's only engaging at the start, but keep bringing them back. Like you say, what do you think about that? No, I won't put you on the spot. Make stellar statements. Maybe have some one-liners. You know one-liners? Some one-liners. Have some quotations. Have strong points that you kind of drill in. Maybe even repeat in different forms. And bring home the takeaway points. Tell them what you taught them. Finally, you close the speech. Now, does that sound like too much to remember? Yeah. Probably, yeah. That's a lot to remember, isn't it? Actually, for me, that's second nature. For some of the more experienced speakers, it's second nature. But if you think about it, even I would be like, oh my God, that's too much. So I'm going to show you a simpler form, yeah? Okay, basically don't be like this, yeah? Don't be that guy, yeah? So, totally lost for words. That's the first step. So you've got to have something to say. And then the next, to make it very quick, what's the topic? What do I want to talk about? What do I want to express? What's my standpoint? Where do I stand on this? What could I say to convince them? Bring them across to the dark side or the good side or whichever side you're on. Darth Vader or Luke, whichever one you are. And you wrap it up nicely. Easy, 4 points, yeah? What do I want to say? Why am I saying this? How can I convince them of this? And I've got to make a nice wrapping on it. And if you know that, I could take you backwards to the last points, it comes to be that. Alright? So let's have a look. What's the topic? I know the theme. I know how to engage them maybe. How to stimulate them. What's my standpoint? What am I going to teach them? Tell them what I'm going to teach them. Tell them what I taught them. This will give me that. What could I say to bring them across? Maybe there's some particular points, some evidence I could show them, yeah? Or some viewpoint that they haven't seen before that could convince them. And finally, I need to think of a strong closing statement before I even start my speech. Think about how you're going to end your speech before you even begin your speech. So like somebody asks you to say something, think about your last thought. Because a lot of people end on, so that's it. On to you. Thank you. All right, and they don't actually have a closing statement. And then this is the same like, I don't know, you build a chicken shed and then you missed out on building one wall. The chickens are going to escape. I don't know, anybody like chickens? It's a bad metaphor maybe, I don't know, for people who work in a mining company. So you've got to make sure that your speech is closed on both sides. You've made a strong opening, people are going to remember it. You've made a strong closing, people are going to remember it. If they remember the beginning and they remember the end, the brain will find what was in between. Now, if you don't have a strong ending, they're going to forget. You've left the cage door open. And this is backed up in neuroscience. There you build up links in your brain. So make the start of your speech and the end of the speech the link so that person is going to remember. At the end of the day, it won't matter what you said if they don't remember anything. Or if you're like that first guy with his tissue to his head, you're probably going to want them to forget everything. But if you want to communicate, you want them to remember. Okay, so in short, the skills that you learn through practicing impromptu speaking can be applied in many different situations. The way that Toastmasters practice in table topics is not a very natural way. The way they practice, for those who haven't seen. If you had $1 million and only 5 days to spend it, how would you spend it and why? The time is yours. You have 2 minutes. Okay, so it's not a very natural situation. But from that situation, you can think, okay, make a strong opening, structure my points, make a strong closing. So you're practicing those things that will be useful to you in meetings, in elevators, in the corridor, or anywhere else where people ask you to structure your thoughts. So a takeaway point for all of you, though, is you've all worked really, really hard to get where you're at today. You're not working for Conoco Phillips today because somebody just got you out off the street and said, hey, would you like it? You know, it's a really snazzy job, yeah? Come to work every day and you look nice? No. Of course not. You went to university, you applied, you competed, you worked hard every day to do your job well. I don't want communication skills to be the one thing that holds you back. Because it's super easy to learn how to communicate well. You just need to be brave and show up. Yeah? And then through communication, it's like the highway, that all your abilities and all your experience is going to go down. It's no good if we've got so much up here in our big noggin, but we don't know how to express it or share it. So thank you very much, everyone, for being with me today. These are my contact details if you want to say hello anytime. And it's been my pleasure. I hope you've got something out of it. Assalamu alaikum. On to Mr. An or the Toastmaster.